my vice. Man up from Mars, he tripping, I put that on guard. I got the digits, but I am not calling. Wizard at night, this be that forum. I'm shooting Shaq with that. Sunshine after that. Shooting Stack with that. Sunshine after that. So yeah, you know, I had a conversation with her, but it's like the signals is always crossed. I mean, like, I say yes, cause she asked me to say yes. And then she's like, I didn't want you to say yes. I wanted you to understood that a yes was required to answer the question. I was like, what?
Welcome back, everybody. Happy Hump Day. Happy Wednesday. Welcome to the spot, the Stacked After Hours spot. I am your host, Natalie Cosby, and welcome to the show for Grown Folk Talk. Tonight, we're going to have fun tonight. We are talking about this topic that I find fascinating. Somebody actually, the person that's on the show brought this up to me, passport bros. And I added broads because I feel like there are some women who are moving the same way. You know, you have all these shows, 90 Day Fiance and all these other things. So we're going to talk about it. So y'all get ready, get your cocktails and get those fingertips loose because we want to hear your questions and comments for tonight's panel. And here at SI, we keep it lit and enlightening. Let's bring it on. Oh, we have some new faces, some old faces. Welcoming back to our show, our brother, our traveler. He's an avid traveler. I don't know. I'm going to call him a pseudo. He's a passport gentleman instead of a bro. Mr. Brandon Scott, welcome back. Welcome back.
Good evening. Good evening. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening. And we also have his boy, his frat. He's new to the show, Mr. Antoine Ellis. Hello, Antoine. He's an avid traveler as well. And then I'm so excited because we have our first radio personality, Lord have mercy, Mrs. Tamara G from 101 Point Life FM in Miami. She has her morning show. Welcome to the show, girl.
Thank you very much. So happy to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. And of course, my lovely, beautiful host, Anthea, aka Sunshine Jeffrey. So, yeah, there she goes. With her glitter, of course. So Tamara, we kind of started talking about this whole topic. You were just like, girl, I'm going to talk passport bros. And I was like, what the hell? Can we please define what a passport bro is, or broad, but
right. So in a broad sense of the word, it is a brother who travels internationally, basically to date or to live abroad for a limited amount of time. I actually have a friend. He has been going to Thailand for the last 6 or 7 years, and he goes 2 and 3 months at a time. Now, of course, he's retired, has a good pension, because he was a good government worker. And so he can go over there, and he says it costs him like, $1,500 a month, $2,000 a month. So I just wanted to know what was the attraction with him being a passport bro. And he kind of broke it down to me. But, the first thing that came to my mind was, oh, yeah, you're over there doing something. Because first of all, who chooses Thailand? Okay, that's the first thing. And then the second thing is to stay.
You know what Thailand is known for, but that's another
Is
story.
that Oh Me So Horny? No, that's Vietnam.
I didn't know that. But maybe Brandon, or Antoine. I didn't know, but yeah. So, and he goes and stays 2 and 3 months, and he'll come back over here to the States, and he goes at least twice a year. So I'm thinking, do you have another family over there? Like, what's going on, dude?
Well, Thailand is known for a lot of things, but it is a very beautiful country in certain parts. Like you can go out to different islands, So you know,
Yeah,
it's a nice vacation. It's a nice vacation
He
spot.
ain't, he ain't
It's a
going
nice
out there for that.
Yeah,
And
I
then
mean,
you're not going to make assumptions tonight.
we're
You're
not. So
supposed to
we're
end.
not. But I
What
think
are you
in
assuming?
general, I
What are you
thought the
assuming? What is the
whole movement
innuendos?
is to find. I mean, we have all these shows like 90 Day Fiance and other things, but these men who are not men and possibly women. I didn't discriminate. I'm not saying all, but possibly women who are going over here not only for lifestyle, but also possibly love or companionship. Is that not the case? I mean, Antoine, I know you said you go to Colombia and you stay. Well, go ahead.
Absolutely.
What? Go ahead.
Absolutely. So I actually started traveling around 2010, and traveling is such a luxury in terms of just having the ability to travel and having disposable income. Traveling can also mean being very single and not necessarily settled down. So I went to Miami a lot in my 20s because I still love partying, even though I'm in my late 40s. Um, and Miami was that place for me. And as I grew and I matured, I wanted to try different things. And so I've traveled literally around the world. I've been 50 countries plus. And Colombia was just one that just reminded me of being back in Miami in my 20s. So I speak Spanish. I have developed immense friendships, great friendships. I know the country, and so it's one of my places to go. Whether I'm seeking just to recharge my battery, get stressed, I'm stressed out in America, or whatever may have you. So when I hear that term passport bros, it sounds kind of cheesy and corny, and it lumps all men that travel for one destination in just a single group. But it just sounds corny and cheesy. I mean, I know that women may do the same thing. They may go to New Orleans. They may go to whatever festival that we may have in the States. And men may do the same thing too. But you can't lump everyone in the same box, is what I like to say.
Okay, so we're not gonna lump everybody in the same box, but
I
yeah,
get
I
it. I get
mean,
it. But when people hear those words, Thailand, Colombia, Dominican Republic,
Brazil, especially
Brazil.
brothers. I think
Yeah,
I hear a lot
those are trigger words too, right? I mean, if you want to have sex, you can go have sex in West Atlanta if you really want to that bad, right? Sex is here in Atlanta if you're just looking for it.
right. I know, but is it? I thought so. From what I understood, I thought it was more of you get to experience women of other cultures
Okay.
whose idea of around femininity, they're more feminine than us. They're more compliant than us. They're more willing to do certain things as long as you're able. I'm not going to say it's transactional,
Mm-hmm.
but
Oh, say it.
okay.
No, go ahead and say it. I'm not sure about the transactional part. I mean, you can do that here in Atlanta if you want to do that. If you want to do that in another country, it's very much so. A lot of relationships are somewhat transactional. You're in Atlanta, that relationship is transactional. You're going to dinner for $150. That's transactional, right? And you might spend $150 and it could be a miserable time. But that has been a transactional situation. You go to Colombia and your dollar stretches further, and you can still meet the same woman that you meet in Atlanta, and she wants to go to dinner, and that's still a horrible experience. So it all depends on the individual person.
But that's not $150 in Colombia.
You can spend $150 in Colombia very eeasily. Very easily. Going to islands, going to parties.
You live in freaking Cristal and everything there. So
no, they have some really nice.
And I don't know about Colombia, so I can't say that. But I just
Cartagena is not cheap. Cartagena is what Miami used to be 10 years ago. So you can easily spend. I'm a foodie, so I will buy a bottle of wine. Like I said, I have friends. I have expats from the United States that live in Colombia as well, and we just have a great bond. So I like being around fellas and cracking jokes.
So there's no move. There is some kind of movement with brothers going to Brazil, DR, Colombia. It may not be you, Antoine, but I feel like there is a movement for brothers. I have heard this over and over again.
I hear that, and I think of that term, and I ask myself, is that a new term, or have we as Black men have always done that? And you have to look at some of the statistics too. In our situation, we have a 47% divorce rate. We have one of the lowest marriage rates in the United States. So there's a disconnect between our community with both men and women. And I think social media has made it somewhat worse. And the new term passport bras, I think that's almost one of the ways, specifically for Black men, to be kind of degraded a little bit when we use that term, right? He does not want to be with me because he's a passport bruh, or he's doing this, that, and the third, when he may not just want to be with you because you're a horrible person and things like that. So, and there's a disconnect between us as Black men and Black women. I think social media has allowed us to really display some of our victories, which are traveling. Once again, you have disposable income. So there may be a reason why I may not want to go with you as a person, because I think you're a horrible person to travel with, or I would just prefer to be by myself. So passport bras, I think, is one of those slights, one of those digs at us as Black men to a certain degree. Do you have men that are out there wilding out and doing this, that, and the third? Absolutely. Do you have men that are just traveling and getting culture, and people get fixated on just certain countries? I could tell you that I've been to South Africa, I've been to Egypt, I've been to Greece, but as soon as these people hear I've been to Colombia, that's the only thing they can focus on.
Well, I guess my question is just like, is there, and Brandon, maybe this for everyone, like, is there a particular, there's a reason why we kind of, is there like a different stress level or different experience when you do have maybe some kind of relationship abroad? Like, is there an ease to it versus when you're here? And, you know, are you able, the fact that your dollar may go a little bit further allows you to experience things a little bit differently?
Well, I think it's a couple of things. Like, I understand Antoine's point too. Don't loop everybody into the same thing. But you have to be honest. When we heard this years ago, like, this is not, honestly, it's not new. Men were going to DR and going to Colombia. And when you heard about it, when I heard about it in my early 30s, like almost 20 years ago, that's what I assumed they were going for, was to, you know, have multiple sexual escapades with women at a low cost. And that's what it was talked about, is that these things were going on. Now, I think that as time has progressed and we've, like to Antoine's point, become more cultured and we're older now, it can look different. You can actually go there and think about living and having different experiences, creating friendships and that type of thing, which Antoine has done in his situation. Now, when you date over there or date abroad, obviously it's a difference because it's a cultural difference. And everyone globally looks at the United States as like the place to be, like a money pot. And they're going to naturally assume you have, you know, excess income or money because, number one, you traveled there, you know, so they're going to naturally assume that about you, whether you have it like that or not. And so their expectation, and I think, you know, to some men, it diminishes who they are, makes them feel less. If you use the term transactional or whatever, and you can relate it to, you know, you paying for dates and stuff in the United States too. But to your point, Natalie, I see where you're staying. Like, they are expecting something from you, whether it's send some money for this or send some money for that. And you do it just as you would a woman in the United States. Like, you know, she necessarily got to ask you to pay for something or do something for her. If you wanted to do something kind or nice for someone you were dating, as a man, you would just do it, whether it was a purse she was looking at or shoes or take her on a trip or something like that. So obviously, if you're dating a woman abroad, you're going to send her something. It doesn't have to be a set monthly stipend unless, you know, that's what y'all have created. But yeah, that expectation that you would do something for her is there, just as it would be in any relationship. And I wouldn't say that it's easier because they like to know where you're at and what you're doing in the States too. They want to FaceTime you and, you know, who are your friends and all of that. And especially if it's a situation where they don't have access to come visit you in the U.S. So you are in control of when y'all see each other and what that communication looks like.
I have a question. Have you guys been to these triggers, these places that trigger you guys, in such as Brazil, Colombia. And,
I'm not triggered.
Some triggered. These
I am not triggered.
These passport bro countries, right? Have you guys been to these places?
I've been to the DR.
I've been to the DR.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I have, so what my friend told me, and I'm just going to call him Nick, that we're going to call him Nick tonight. What Nick said was that he is treated like a king in Thailand for I think he told me like $1,500 a month. So he has somebody that comes in and cleans every day. He has somebody that cooks every day. I don't know what else she's doing every day, but she's doing that, if she does do massages or does, rubs his feet or whatever. But what he also told me was it was kind of a relief from being in the US, how he's treated as a Black man here.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, but he used the words.
You can get someone from Thailand in the US to do the same thing, right?
I'm sorry?
He can get someone from Thailand in the US to do the same thing. I mean, if being in Thailand is his thing, that's fine. Yeah, I have no issues with that. But one of the things I kind of wanted to point out with Antoine is I am extremely happy that you have pointed out that a lot of people paint broad strokes for a lot of things. So I'm happy that you're standing up for yourself and making sure that everyone knows that it's not everyone that goes to these places are doing what people are thinking that they're doing. So good for you for that. What I also wanted to point out too is that I pretty much I'm kind of halfway in the Caribbean in the year and halfway here as well too. So what I see on the flip side with some women, especially mostly women from Europe, they're going to the Caribbean to get their Black man, to the point where there is like rent a dread. You can rent a guy for like a week or whatever to do whatever it is you want to do. It's very transactional there. And so there's a lot of guys, especially when you go on these excursions, that are meeting these women that will come down, get their fix, and then go back, right? So I see it from that lens when I'm in the Caribbean. But
that's also in Kenya as well.
Say that again.
That's also in East Africa and West Africa as well.
Yes. But I think what I've seen in Africa is that they're actually the guys at the airport, like even proposing to get married so that they could come to the US. The guys in the Caribbean don't want to leave. They're like, you guys come, I'll give you what you need, pay me, and then go back to wherever you are. They're not trying to come to the US really. But I wanted to just also point out one other thing, Natalie, trust me, I'm sorry. I do have an ex actually that goes to the DR now. And that's exactly what he goes for, what Tamara was explaining. He goes for the sex, the fact that 9 times out of 10, you're not going to run into that person anywhere in the US. 9 times out of 10, that you're going to get sex, you're going to get food, you're going to get well taken care of. You're going to get somebody that don't even speak English, so you can tell her whatever it is you want to tell her, and then just so it's just like very transactional.
So can we let's take the transactional out of it. I want to talk about the emotional stance of actually what is going on because Antoine, have you been in a relationship when you were living in Colombia?
Yeah, I had a girlfriend when I was in Colombia.
Okay. And, so I do want to like what are the contrasts versus when you are here versus when you are there?
All right, so
because I think that's actually some of it too.
Absolutely.
That we're not really talking about.
So I am very pro-Black. So I want to always connect with my sisters. And there's a lot of Afro-Colombians. Colombia, where I go, Cartagena, is a slave port city. Mm-hmm. And it's very cultural. So one of the things I'm always doing is stare and compare and contrast. Even within the United States, we see that there's different sisters doing different things in different cities. I live in Atlanta, which is a very Black chocolate city where sisters are doing great. So I would say the women here in Atlanta are more aggressive in terms of career, in terms of they're more financially stable. They are more likely to own a home. As in Colombia, you're dealing with women. They start off very young too, and they may have kids. They may still be living with their parents. The average income is $1,500 a month. So there is some level of, we need help. And in America, you may help that individual person, but in Colombia, you may have to help their family, just depending on that particular situation. There's a difference in terms of culture, in terms of expectation. Once again, I do speak Spanish, so that language barrier is not a factor.
What is your expectation, Antoine, when you go down there and you get in this relationship?
That's a bad question. That's a bad question for me. I have no expectation. I just live and I just enjoy life.
So you're just taking the moment. You're just going with the moment. Whatever.
So also, once again, you have to look at the bigger picture. Why am I there? I am there to sit and relax. If I can travel as much as I can, and once again, it's not those passport broad countries, I'm going to travel as much as I can. If Delta has to sell for $1 to go to South Africa, I'm on it.
But hold on. Is Colombia one of those countries that you continue to go back to because you enjoy it and you stay longer than most, right?
I do.
So there isn't so that's what culturally, right? Mm-hmm. Now I'm not trying to pick. I'm just really trying to understand the experience of what you are getting when you. So the woman that you were in a relationship with. Or I don't know if you're still in a relationship, but the relationship that you had with her, what was that experience and what was the difference versus when you were, go ahead.
It was first and foremost, it was a cultural exchange. I got to understand what Colombia was like looking through the lens of a beautiful woman. I tend to like being around women. It's really awkward to go, once again, I live in Atlanta, so in Atlanta, you're not going up to guys and starting a friendship with them. You'll get very bad results doing that. So I tend to always make conversation with women, and it's not always for quote unquote sex. We happen to get along, and we definitely worked on a lot of different things in terms of developing a friendship. What's the difference? I mean, it's like I said, money is always a factor, no matter where you go, if you're in the States or if you're overseas. Some of the cultural differences is I'm always going to be a foreigner in their eyes. I'm never going to be a Colombian. So it's okay for them to lie to a gringo. They know, they can tell by my clothes, the way I walk. They can tell by the things that I have, quote unquote, I have money. And it's always going to be a 4-to-1 in terms of the dollar. So I'm always there's never going to be a point where I'm going to get something $100 for my birthday. It just doesn't work that way. So it's a cultural experience. You learn, if you have another experience, if you go to South Africa and you meet a woman, which I have, and it was never about sex. It was just, you show me the culture, you show me South Africa. I tend to study 10, 12 hours a day, 10, 12 hours before I go somewhere, not 10, 12 hours a day. That's tend to study about that country before I go there. And I want to know, I have a lot of questions, and I like to know from their point of view what some of these questions are, and they provide me a cultural experience. So I really enjoy that. It's
very multicultural in Miami. You could just come back to Miami. You could choose.
Miami is $25 a drink. Miami is $25 a drink. So this right here is $1,000, right? Like I said, I went to Miami in my 20s, and I'm like, man, this place is, first of all, Miami is never mind.
We have Colombians, we have Nicaraguans, we have Venezuelans.
And it's $25 a drink. And it's $25
So is it, are you, so
American.
It's $25 a drink, right? And this is probably a half watered down shot. Like I said, I used to go to Miami in my 20s, and it just got old. It's got run down.
So is it really the financial aspect? Look, the finances of dating across the board is expensive.
Yeah.
It is.
Facts, no matter where you are. But when you can go to a place where the American dollar is 10-to-1, you're going to live a little different.
Yeah.
Your experience is going to be a little different.
Absolutely. And I would say, actually, I actually ball out when I'm in Colombia. I am partying. If anybody knows me, I love to party. So I'm the first one at the bar buying
Are
drinks.
you in the VIP section balling it up,
that's cheesy.
throwing
That's cheesy to
popping
me.
bottles?
No, I mean, if I want to wake up and have a drink, I'm gonna have a drink. If my friends know we're gonna have a good time, and if we want to go to islands, we're gonna go to islands. I've invited male and female friends to come to Colombia. I've had male and female friends come see me in Colombia, and I like to drink. I like to party once again. So no expenses spared. Let's have a good time.
So Antoine, Colombia is like your second home. It's a place that you call like your second home, and you love it.
It's a place that I would like to retire. If Africa was a lot closer, I love going to South Africa. I had a ball there. I love going to Bali. So when people say passport bros, that's corny to me because there's so many great places in the world that you can check out. I love going to London. I would love to hang out with the sisters in Brixton and see how different they are.
I would say Antoine is probably, one in a million, bruh. You one in a million. You and Brandon.
Nah, because there's a lot of bros. So that's the thing. There's a lot of people I meet. I meet random people.
Everybody doesn't have the job to do that. Everybody can't. Whatever it is you're doing, you can do it remotely, obviously, or you have money, whatever it is. But
so here's the thing too. I meet brothers on the beach. I met two brothers. Last time I was in Colombia was in around Christmas time, and just having a random conversation. One was a dean of law at Howard, and another one had a thriving personal injury practice here. And us just talking, smoking cigars, and just random conversations that I probably would not strike up with a black man here in Atlanta. But having those conversations, I see a lot of people starting businesses because the economy in Colombia is booming. And there's an influx of people. It's a brother down there in Colombia that has a restaurant in Cartagena, has a restaurant called Vibes. And it's a local place where a lot of black men go to watch basketball games, football games, and playoffs, big sports events. And there's often business being talked about in terms of we like to open up this type of store, imports and exports. So once again, I see brothers doing all kinds of things.
So
go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Let me see brothers doing all kinds of things and trying to lump them all together in one situation.
So we're not lumping them,
okay.
But we are trying to understand. We really are trying to understand.
Let me give you something, Natalie.
Go ahead.
So, because I see the confused look on you, you ladies. Again, it is different type of brothers, right?
Exactly.
And I can say this, because you say, okay, what is the difference with Antoine and Brandon or whatever? I think that men that have not struggled with women in the U.S., struggled dating, struggled, dealing with women in the U.S., it doesn't become this thing for them to,
it's fascination.
It's fascination to be a passport bro. If you are a man that, number one, maybe hanging out and, conversation and that whole art of the chase and, whatever has not been good for you in the States, or that's just not your thing, going abroad makes it a lot easier because you're going to be chased.
Is that what it is?
Like you're going to be chased. Like you're now, where you're like a 4 in the US, you go abroad and you're a 10, So and these are not your average looking women, right? These are like gorgeous younger women that are now interested in you. Whereas you don't have to do all of those things that you would for a woman in the U.S. or require. She's not going to require certain things from you there because she doesn't have a full understanding of what it is in the U.S. And to Antoine's earlier point, women now they have their own, so they're not even necessarily looking for you for that. They're looking for you for that companionship, create a bond and grow and that type of thing. So if you're a man and you're still not ready for that, and you're, early 40s, early 50s, hell, whatever age.
Early 60s.
Yeah, right. Going abroad and dealing with a 25-year-old woman, like that, gives you a lot
But
of.
there's no emotional attachment to that in any kind of way. It is truly just for convenience and happenstance. At least that's what it sounds like.
Emotional in the sense that you would think of a relationship, right? But it is, anytime you're intimate with somebody, it's some type of something there. If this woman is, getting up, cooking you eggs, having sex with you anytime you want to, rubbing your back, rubbing your feet, doesn't care about your belly, like any of those things.
Oh, your man boobs? Yes.
Listen.
Somebody said, are they genuinely interested? I think it depends on their point of view of life, their POV. Like this may be what makes them interested in you, whatever that is.
The $1,500 a month is what makes them interested.
So what I would actually say too, it's always somewhat transactional, right? Once again, I live in Atlanta and I speak Atlanta language. The first thing people are asking me, where am I from? Where did I go to school? What do I do for a living? And they're trying to calculate how much money I make. And that's either in the States or it's a given anywhere I go. People always want to know, money's a love potion. So I have not been in one place. I've very rarely been in any place where I did not have to spend money. So whether that's abroad or domestically, that is a question that's always going to be asked. Another thing I wanted to point out, Brandon, you and I used to go to Aruba a lot, and we used to just enjoy the experience, being away from the States, getting out the stress. I don't think we were necessarily looking for sex for anybody, right? If we met a woman that we liked, okay, cool, but it wasn't.
I'm gonna plead the fifth because my ex-wife is on here.
You know, go, Alicia.
No, but you know what? She came and saw us. She came and saw us.
He tried to get you killed, Brandon.
Right, I'm like, dude.
Your ex-wife came actually with us to Aruba at one point in time. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
I mean, what were we doing? We were on the beach chilling.
Yeah.
For
a festival, Soul Beach music.
I'm sorry, when he said that people are asking you where you're from, what school you went to, those are just ways to get to know somebody. Those would be questions that I would ask somebody that I'm interested in.
I don't Atlanta.
If I'm trying to,
That's Atlanta. Do you live in Atlanta?
I live in Miami.
I think when you live in major cities, you are trying to. Sometimes people will ask that. I don't necessarily ask that, but I understand why people do it to kind of make sure I view of like my. But
I think trying to see what commonalities they have with each other.
Yeah, they're trying to figure out the commonalities. But some people see that as you're trying to size me up, as Antoine is saying.
Absolutely.
And Tamara, I have a question for you. For you, what you said you had a friend that would go. Were you dating this? You can plead the fifth too. Were you dating this friend, and what was his experience? What was the experience when he came? What was his vibe when he came back, or what was going on?
So we actually met on a ski trip a couple of years ago, and we did go out a couple of times, but his reason, which was so crazy, for not wanting to get more involved with me was because we live in two separate cities in Florida. And when he said that, I was like, okay, dude, you're full of, BS, because you're traveling to Thailand to go and stay for 2 and 3 months instead of traveling maybe 3 hours down I-95 to see me. And I try not to take it personally. I'm like, well, maybe he just wasn't interested. I'm one of those people that, I'm very realistic, but he would call, we'd have great conversations. I would call him, and it just never went anywhere. It just never did. Even now, I mean, we still talk, but it's not, and I'm not going to, I think that goes back to what Antoine was saying too about, ladies now, particularly in the States, I don't have to run after you, bro. I don't have to, I do have a very good career. I talk to 500,000 people a day. So I could meet a dude, but I like you and I wanted to get to know you better, but you are traveling to Thailand twice a year and staying 3 and 4 months. Why?
Well, is it the place? Is it the destination or the person's actions when they're here in the United States? What if that person was traveling to Africa 2 or 3 times a year?
And it may be
there's beautiful women in Africa too, right?
Right. And right. But I would think anyone who is going to stay someplace else and haven't made it their home, their permanent home, there's a reason why you're doing that. There's, whether you're going there to see some chick and stay with her for 3 months, or your second family is there, or whatever, because otherwise you just move there. You literally just move there. He's retired. He has a great pension. He could just move there if that's what he really likes. He has a grown child, a grown daughter. So it is what it is, but he chooses to go and then come back.
I understand that. So here's one
thing.
Hold
on. Anthea, I wanted Anthea's question in before you go into Anton. Go ahead.
I wanted to just talk about another component to this, where people actually go away to be themselves, whatever themselves are. So when they can't be themselves, wherever they are in their small community, they go away and become themselves. So Thailand could very well be a place where he's going to be himself.
Right. Whatever that means. I've thought about that too. And then I just said, I had to let it go. Obviously, this is not a relationship that is going to progress to where I want it to. And I'm okay with that. Because I don't know what he's doing, and I don't necessarily want to know and want to be involved.
Can I ask, are you really okay with it?
Yes, but I have to be, because he's not. Trust me, and I'm sure our two brothers on here will tell you, if you're not interested in someone, or you're not trying to move a relationship, you know how to move a relationship forward if you want to do so.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, okay. Absolutely.
So here's one thing too. We as African Americans right now, we have the most wealth that we've ever had, the most opportunities that we ever had, and with social media, we have the most exposure than we've ever had. People may get caught up on one destination and the passport bras, but I want to go live in Ghana for 3 months. Would that trigger you if I told you I'm going to live in Ghana for 3 months? I'm working from my apartment, and yes, there are ladies in Ghana. There's beautiful Black sisters in Ghana. Are you going to be triggered by that?
I think it would, because I would think that obviously you're not trying to have a serious long-term relationship with me, because there's no way you can do that living in Ghana for 8 months, a year, or 3 months.
So what if he invites you, Tamara?
That's what I was going to ask. What if you go with him sometime?
But I can't do that. My career is still going through.
So you're restrained, but he's not restrained.
Right.
I'm restrained because I'm still working. I'm trying to get my pension.
Right. See, y'all just in two different situations in life. Yeah, you can't.
Right.
Like, why would you stop him from going and still not work it out with him? Like, y'all, if y'all relationship is strong, it would be okay for those 3 months as long as the communication was still there. You figured out, how to work that out. And maybe the 3 months while he was there, you came for a week, or you came for 2 weeks.
Absolutely.
I think she did say something very clear. They live 3 hours away, and he does not come. So there is
that's a
right. So that's a whole other.
No,
we're not speaking about this.
I think it has to be a balance.
I think in general, Natalie, in general, though, she would. I think that's what Antoine was asking. Are you saying any man that's in that situation you wouldn't date, or is it?
Because I've dated men who lived. I dated a guy for almost 2 years. He was actually in Afghanistan. He was an independent contractor, and so he would come over literally every 6 months, and he'd stay a month, because that's the time that he could get off. Every 6 months, every 5 months, they give you 1 month off, and he would be in Miami with me. So, of course, I didn't go to Afghanistan, but he, was there on one of the bases as an independent contractor, making that money, making that tax-free money, and, whatever. But we made it work for how long we dated. But this is just a different situation. I think nobody going to Afghanistan, I'm not thinking that he's over there dating women. He said you couldn't even see women over there because they have to be all covered up. And all that.
You a monthly stipend?
I'm sorry?
Was he sending you a monthly stipend?
No, he wasn't.
Tell the truth, Tamara. What's going on out here? You got like 3 men living in Afghanistan? You rotate
I know that's right. Yeah, no, he wasn't.
No, you come from November to January.
But so here's a question. Here's a question which I stated earlier. I think once again, I hate that term passport bros, because it has such a wide range where if this man is not doing what I want him to do and he's going traveling, I'm going to assume the worst from this person, and I'm going to paint this broad stroke. And people don't necessarily look at accountability. Maybe I'm horrible in this relationship and this man doesn't want to be with me and he's traveling all over the place because he's living his life. And maybe we're cool for right here in the States, but this man has bigger things and he's already deemed that I don't want to travel with this person. The first thing I do when I meet a person, I ask myself, could I travel with this person? Do I like this person enough? Yeah. Will we get into fights? Yeah.
But that sounds like communication. That sounds like
huge.
Talk.
I think right.
That's something I'm thinking about within the first 5 minutes when I meet a person. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right. So Antoine, I think you're definitely talking about commonalities and understanding, even if y'all are compatible, right? Absolutely. But I think the other thing, so let's talk about the brothers who do that. And if you do know folks who are moving in that way, whereas Tamara, you said you feel like that's what's going on with your friend.
Absolutely.
Somewhat, right? I'm not going to, because he's not on here, I don't want to speak for him. But it's so funny. When I think about it, and Anthea is an avid Anthea watches 90 Day Fiance, which I feel like is a passport bro and a passport broad show. So when we think about it, it is some kind of, and I'm not talking about the people who are quiet moves, but I do feel like there is an avid movement. I remember, I guess, when the whole brothers were going to Brazil and getting women and having basically establishing wives, or women who even go and actually stay for months with their rent-a-dread, as Anthea said. There is something that allows folks, I outside of the monetary, the ease, I don't know if it's the ease of the relationship, the fact that it's less stressful, are you in control? Those factors, to me, I don't know what it is, but that's what I'm trying to understand. Like I said, the psychological, emotional aspect of it that is really hard to develop in the States. For some, not all, but for some.
I think there's a misunderstanding. Women are women, men are men. And no matter where you go, it initially may start out differently, but it's always going to get to the core element that a woman is a woman and a man is a man. One question I also want to ask is people that say, this guy is not for me because he's traveling and he's doing these things and he's all over the place. Why is he not pleased with you? Why are you not pleasing him that he doesn't have to do these things that you're accusing him of doing if he is doing these things?
But only he would be able to do that, because as a relationship, I'm feeling like I'm doing everything. Okay.
Yeah, like the common root cause. If like a woman tell me that she's dated 3 passport bros, I'm thinking to myself, all 3 of these men don't know each other, but the common factor is you. So what's going on with you, and why are these men deciding that they would rather go travel than be with you? Where's their accountability?
I don't know if it's them deciding that.
No, but I'm saying the common factor. I'm saying the common factor. If a woman says she's dated 3 passport bros, who's the common factor? These men don't know each other. Hopefully they don't.
I'm a driver license.
Or I like that. I'm a driver's license, bro. He'll drive.
Right, there you go. He's a truck driver. We'll come back to that, Antoine. Tamara, you can think on that. What I was going to say to your point, Natalie, I dated this woman one time. Her dad ordered his wife from Thailand. And she literally it's like websites and services that can do this for you. He was an older Black man. Had divorced her mom, and this is what he wanted. So she came to the States, lived with him for years, and then ended up becoming his hospice wife, like that thing I sent y'all the other day.
Yes, right, taking care of him, absolutely.
Taking care of you, like you want somebody to take care of you when you get older. Like if you're not with your wife or whoever. So he ordered her. She came to the States, lived with him for 20 years. Obviously, he got older. He grew older, got sick, and she literally took everything from his family, his grandchildren, anybody getting anything. She came here, educated herself, but she played that I don't know anything role.
She was Eddie. I want half. That's so terrible. I'm sorry.
She played that role with him, and she the family didn't get anything. Like it was like he was erased once he passed. Like she almost didn't even let them have a funeral for the man.
Wow.
So those things can have, to Antoine's point about it starts off a certain way, but when that woman comes here or that relationship progresses into something, at the end of the day, she's still a woman. And so as soon as she gets here and learn American ways or whatever, it's going to become what it is. I have another friend who's African, and then usually they'll go back and marry somebody from Africa or from their tribe or from their culture, and they'll say they'll bring the woman to the States. And now it's the big thing, like, oh, get a prenup because you're going to become an Uber driver, saying like African men end up becoming Uber drivers because their wives come over and take everything from them when they realize women have rights in the U.S. that they wouldn't have in certain African countries with these men. So
but do a lot of people kind of keep people where they are? Like, stay over there. Like, I like you for that environment in that country.
But that's why they would do it, because they know if they bring them here, they're going to have certain rights once they get in the United States.
They don't want to be had.
So you keep the distance. you can control the situation.
Yeah.
Let me ask you guys this question. I'm going to make this very delicate because I don't want to offend people.
You ask it how you want to ask it.
It's going to be offensive. It's going to be offensive. So would you guys date African men, West African men? And I always ask that question. I mean, it's not necessarily, you guys aren't necessarily being passport sisters, but these are African males that are coming over to the United States. They have a large business going on. They're financially stable. Would you guys date African men?
Business as in like business that you make money
I have no idea what some of these dudes are doing. They got Gucci on, they can pop in a bottle, and they got the Range Rover outside, and they're Nigerian. They can be. You got the Nigerian accent.
As long as it's legal, and it's not the Princess Zamunda asking me for $1,000 over the I'm open to who I like. Like, it's not. I like who I like.
Okay.
I've dated West African men.
And I have not. But the other thing too is any men that are in a certain age group now, where would we find these guys? And somebody please tell me. And I feel like the type of job that I have, I meet so many different people in so many different arenas. But finding men to date in 2024 is not easy.
Over 50, being 50 plus.
So, Tamara, are you eliminating? Like, what are you eliminating by? Oh, you're probably eliminating like a big chunk of men. Why you're not finding them?
Don't even get me started on that, Sunshine. You know what? I mean, I've dated all the way around. I've dated everything from blue collar to white collar to no collars. It is truly what I like, but there are some things that I have found out for myself that I'm not going to date anymore. I'm not going to date anybody who is not involved in the community. I'm in many different organizations and I'm always giving back. So I need you to be a mentor. I need you to go pick up trash on Saturdays, feed the homeless, do something to give back. In whatever way that is that you do that, because that's.
Cameron, do you enjoy dating?
I do. I do enjoy dating. Yeah,
dating is fun. Dating is fun, right? You can meet different people, and you may not necessarily have any type of connection, but just meeting new people, right?
But I think things like that are at your core, because here's the deal: it always ends up being a problem when I do it. On a Saturday morning, I literally could be going to pick up trash for my sorority. And then 2 hours later, I'm doing something for the other organization that I'm in because we have a billion going on or something. So it always ends up being a problem that I'm always involved in things, but you aren't. And then you don't want to go.
Tamara, could you skip picking up trash if you had a man to lay in bed with on Saturday morning? Skip picking up the trash and let somebody else pick up the trash.
Maybe like picking up trash.
And sleep in late.
I pick it up because my sorority, we're picking up trash this Saturday morning. You know, we got to.
Yeah, but that's not every Saturday. So
that's one Saturday out of the
month. I wonder where Anthea was going with that, because I was about to become Dr. Umar, because I think she was trying to
go Dr. Umar. No,
maybe she would find a man more attractive if he picked up trash with her together.
Or maybe do some other do some activity.
I understand. I think what she's saying is that a man involved and in the community and volunteering is something that appeals to her and her
but
ethos.
Sometimes you can meet somebody that don't do that, but educate them on why it's so necessary and helpful. Then maybe he would start doing it with you.
Absolutely. Two things. Men at this age are who they are at this age. They're not going to change. Some people will change. And, some people may need a catalyst. Some people on the weekends want to sit in bed and their back is hurting. They worked all week and they just want some time off. So it just all depends on what your vibe is. But one thing I did want to kind of come back to is, once again, I feel like there's a strong disconnect within the Black community when it comes to interpersonal relationships, in terms of relationships, marriages, boyfriend, girlfriend, and things of that nature. I feel like I'm all for Black women making more money, but I think that's almost become a problem in terms of, well, I have my own money, I don't need you anymore. And I think that's almost counterproductive for us in the Black community.
Who is saying that? Who is saying that? Because I keep hearing you guys say women say that, but I've never met a woman that said that.
I've seen that a lot, and I don't want to. Once again, that's like I don't.
Is it more of like? Is it more based on action and how they approach you instead of saying it? Is it how Black women are not Black women? Women are.
And I hate to put everybody in a broad stroke, but I'm seeing that.
You just put us all in a broad stroke. You know that, right? Because you just talked about how you don't want passport bros
exactly
to be put in a broad stroke, and you doing it right now,
Antoine. I'm happy for these sisters that are making more money. I am all for it. Make your money, obviously, do your thing. But I definitely see like money is becoming a dividing issue between us as the Black community. I don't know for metrics. I can't find metrics, but I can say what I believe. And once again, I think that these sisters and our brothers, we have definitely a disconnect between us. Would you guys not say that?
I would say it's definitely a disconnect, and I would say that money may have something to do with it, but also emotions. And being vulnerable. Nobody wants to do that anymore. And I don't understand how you can be in a relationship with someone if you can't be vulnerable with them.
So
Well, you have to provide the space for that man to be vulnerable with you too.
So let me say this.
You can't go tell your girlfriends what I just told you last night and I was being vulnerable with you. Oh girl, you believe he told you?
He was crying.
They're not gonna go back and tell you, Brandon. They're not gonna look at you strange the next day.
Yes, they are. They absolutely are.
One of the things I guess I've been hearing when I was talking about this is just like they feel like women culturally, Black women outside of America, there is whatever. There's a more sense of femininity where men can be vulnerable. I've heard that. That's why they like going to these countries, because they feel like women are more open, they're more willing to serve, and they are very in touch with their feminine energy. And I don't know if that is what is going on in these other countries where, I'm not saying all, but I hear a lot. I hear that when people talk about men who like to go abroad to date or meet or live the lifestyle, the treatment, being elevated and kind of put their king in these spaces. No, they're king. They feel like a king in these spaces.
Yeah.
To your point, Natalie, I think that let's look at what it is, right? The logistics of that, to the point that Antoine was just speaking about, like money and being able to have your own and that type of thing. These women don't have that. They are in countries where the men are working, the men have the access to those things. So, and they're outnumbered, the women outnumber the men. So you're looking at, okay, this man comes from another country. Of course, I'm going to be subservient. Of course, I'm going to do what I feel like he likes or wants me to do or provide for him. Whereas you asking a woman that's working 10 hours a day, has a thriving career, to act like that with you on a consistent basis, it's probably not going to happen in the US. That woman, that's her whole goal, is to get you, and you send her a monthly stipend or whatever the case may be, help her family out, send her younger brother to college, whatever.
So hold on, Brandon. So does that make you, as a man, does that make you feel, what is the when not saying the stipend and all that other stuff, but when you're in that space, do you feel more valued as a brother?
Yeah, and that would be the case in the US too. If you can do something like you want to feel valued by your woman in the US too. Yeah. You want to feel like she needs you for something. And I think that's the point. Tamara, you were talking about this earlier. Like, a man needs that feeling. He needs to feel like I can provide something for you other than the penis.
Well, my brother wants to go to college too. My brother wants to go to college. Can you help him?
Absolutely. If that's what's needed, if that's what's needed. But a man wants to feel like he's needed, like he's providing something, for you. He likes that feeling. Like, I did this. It made her feel good. It made her feel, comfortable with me. It made her feel secure. Like, a man wants to make you feel that way, whether it's here, whether it's with some woman abroad, like whatever that is. If he's a man, that's his goal.
So I'm not painting a broad strokes, and don't jump down my throat, but do you think the men that feel like their money stretches a little further in these places have some control issues or maybe some insecurities that because the women are out earning them in the US, that they feel like there's no control?
All men have some insecurities and control issues. Let's just put it that way. So I'll paint that with a broad stroke. We all have some insecurities and some control issues to a certain degree. We can handle it different and respect ourselves differently in those situations. But, you can paint that broad stroke. That's just the truth. How much of that we choose to share or expose, or how that comes out or shows up in our daily lives, may look different, for each man. But we all have those insecurities and stuff. And so obviously, if it's a cultural difference and she doesn't have a full understanding of who I am, like you might as an African-American woman, then it makes it a little simpler for me to deal with a woman abroad.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So here's also a point I kind of want to make too. What makes these brothers feel like kings in other places that they may go, and they may not feel like a king in their own homeland, right? If I come to you and I tell you I make $100,000 a year, are you going to look at me and think, okay, wow, what can I do to really develop and work with this brother so we can write down a list of things that we want to do and conquer and divide? Or are you going to say, that's not enough for me? I need you to make more. You don't bring enough to the table. Why does a man not feel like a king in his home? Whereas he may feel
you trying to say, why do Black men don't feel like kings in America? Is that the question you asking me in a nutshell?
Yes.
Because he makes I don't understand that.
Why does, just in general, not necessarily the money aspect, but why do you feel like Black men don't feel like they're kings or treated like kings here, as opposed to going somewhere else and they're treated like kings? And I think that's part of the disconnect.
I'll tell you what,
that's part of the disconnect conversation that we're having between Black women and Black men.
Right. Go ahead, Tamara.
What my friend
why did they feel like they're not valued?
He just said that it's so much pressure over here. The police, the being Black in America, the pressures, everything. That's what he said. He said all of that contributed to why he likes to go to Thailand, because again, for $1,500 a month, His house gets cleaned every day. He gets a meal is there 3 times a day or whatever. He's on the beach. He's in a bungalow on the beach, and he's living his best life. But, is that enough reason to give up to me on what you could have in America? And not just if it was a relationship between me and him or anybody, because you can meet people from Texas if you live in Florida or Atlanta or whatever. But to travel so far for that, do you have to travel so far for that?
Let me ask you a question with a question. Can you provide him that same lifestyle here in the United States? Would you cook 3 times a day and clean his house?
Sir, I work a morning show, so he will not be able to get breakfast. He will not be able to get breakfast.
And he got to go pick up trash with you. I'm going to Thailand.
What did you say, Brandon?
I'm going to Thailand. I ain't picking up trash with your ass on Saturday morning. Nah, you ain't offering enough.
Tolerant. Anything is possible, but but again, that's communication. That's being in a relationship. That is what works best for us. That will not work. That 3 meals a day for me, only because I'm out of the house at 4:00 in the morning, going to a job at 5. So, and from on the air from 5 to 10. So you won't get breakfast from me. You may get lunch, dinner, but you know what I'm saying? It's just a matter of.
I mean, there's ways around.
So can I, wait.
Talk to each other.
But is it also, and we haven't talked, I guess we've kind of talked about it. I was gonna have another guest, but he said something to me, and he actually only dates right now men. He's gay, but he only dates men abroad. And he said it's the emotional burden of relationships. Like asking me where I'm at, like certain things where I can be free. I have no stress. I have no worries when I go to these places, and I can just let my hair down and just.
That goes back to what Sunshine said.
Right. It's like, it has nothing. He's like, a lot of it is emotional. Like, I don't get to be vulnerable in spaces when I'm here. I don't feel like as a man, I have the opportunity to really open myself up and just be me. He's like, here, you got all these expectations and demands and and all of that. And he was like, you trying to ask me, like, why don't we spend enough time together? He's like, it's not that. But I was just like, you've also removed yourself from your regular daily life.
Right. And that's just life. And I think like to me, that would be a cop out. You know what I'm saying? That's just part of life. Like if I'm in relationship with someone, you have the right to ask me where I'm at, what I'm doing.
Right.
Like I want you to check on me. That shows me that you care. If you're not asking me, that means you're doing something else because you don't want me asking you.
No. I think he's like the emotional burden of relationships, or just the emotional stuff that comes with relationships.
But that's a relationship.
He's not ready for a relationship. Like if you're ready for a relationship and you say I want to be in relationship, then you're saying I can take on those things. Now it depends on with who.
Right. And I think it's also like, what do you value in a relationship? Do you just value somebody who's going to show up clean, to have sex, and kick it? Because those are relationships.
Well, to Antoine's point, when he asked Tamara, was she going to do all those things? If she's working and making money, we both working and making money. No, I'm not expecting her to do it, but I'm expecting her to say, let's put it in the budget so somebody comes in here and clean this house and cooks for us, because she's doing, it's creating this imbalance anyway. In the relationship, if I'm supposed to be the provider and she's helping me provide, then she can get help on those things that would normally, quote unquote, be the things that she would do around the house. So somebody else can come and clean this house and cook our meals and watch these kids, and you know what I'm saying, and rub my back. Well,
you better be ugly though.
You can't rub your back now.
I wouldn't look.
So quick question. For those people who have or either they're dating or have dated someone abroad, what was different for you?
The level of stress.
I'm gonna start with Antoine, because you did. What was different for you? What was the ease? What was the challenge?
I would say the level of expectation and the level of stress. Being in America is a very stressful situation, but that's initially. But once you get down to it, women are women and men are men, and the expectations and the gender roles are still somewhat there. What do we look for as men? What are women looking for? And even though those things may be slightly different in the United States as compared to abroad, those are very much in tune, right? You want a man that's very much entrepreneur, waking up and handling business, being a provider. And I've never been to a country where, oh my God, Antoine, you're so gorgeous, you're so beautiful. Let me go ahead and pay for everything for you. No, it's always me paying for everything, whether that's in the United States or domestically. I mean, United States or internationally. So I don't get phased about that. I know I'm a man. I know I don't mind working. So what was different for me, like I said, um, very much communication, very much ease, and getting out of the United States is a very, very stressful situation. You don't realize how much just stress you're going through until you actually get away from that matrix. You get away from what you should be like, what you should spend your money on, who you should spend your money on, how much money you should have, things like that nature, things of that nature.
Do
But
you
that
fear
answer the
for your
question.
life?
Antoine,
Do you feel?
sorry,
I'm sorry.
Tamara, just real quick.
Okay.
Can you be honest on this part? Did you find it easier to be more sexually aggressive with that woman abroad than you would have a black
Great
woman?
question.
So to answer that question, I'm pretty much going to have a couple of drinks and say whatever's on my mind if I'm in the States or abroad. So it does not matter.
That is true.
I pretty much have no filter.
Your
You're
filter
gonna
is
pay no matter
Get
where.
a couple
Okay.
drinks in me, and you're gonna get whatever I had, whatever's on my mind.
we see the Casamigos flowing.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh Lord.
Anybody
Wow.
that knows
That's
me,
like-
I'm gonna say what's on my mind, and I don't care.
That
So
is
Brandon,
true.
I mean, hold on, real quick. For Antoine, when's the last time you dated somebody seriously in the States?
Define dating.
You know what I mean, Negro. Stop playing. When's the last time you actually
That's
dated
when you know
somebody in
it's
the
a cop
States?
out, Natalie. That's when you know it's a
I
cop
know.
out.
That means he ain't done it in a
Dating.
long ass time.
You know what,
Mhm. When's the
Natalie? I'm
last?
gonna keep it real with you. I'm just enjoying my life, and what comes, and what goes,
Boy,
goes.
stop.
No commitment.
Antoine, you need to stop.
Antoine.
Hey, listen.
That's
I'm a
why you
black
trigger
man,
when
I'm making
people
money.
say passport bros. Let's call
Yeah.
it out.
No,
That's why you
I'm not
trigger
going
it.
anywhere. I'm not traveling for another 6 months. I'm over here making money. I'm over here improving my money. I'm improving my bank account. And when I get ready to travel, I will travel, and nobody's going to restrict me. If I want to go with someone else, and let me actually answer your question with another
No,
question.
I don't. If you ain't finished answering the question,
Cop out.
Antoine, you ain't finished answering the question.
Okay, so when last time I've been
Answer
in
the
a
question. Don't
dating
be answer
relationship?
the question with the question. Go ahead.
Okay, 3 years ago. All right, I'm in no
Thank
hurry.
you.
I'm making money, deep pockets, not short hands. But
And when
let me
was the
ask you another
last
question.
time? And how long ago was it when you were dating the person in Colombia?
That's often on question because we hate each other right now. So November.
Usually the case.
Y'all might be together next week. Okay, gotcha.
No, we're not going to be together. But let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
So I have a question. I have a question for my beautiful sisters on if you guys go on a vacation with another man and you guys are great in the United States, but you go on a vacation and you guys do not get along, is that a deal breaker?
Say what?
Um,
If you're going
it
to
depends
vacation
on
with
what-
a guy you don't get along with?
Yeah.
No,
Is
you guys
it
get along in the
breaking?
United States.
We fall
You guys-
out during the vacation. Is that what you're saying? We
Yes,
fall out.
yes.
Maybe you just realize you can't travel with that person, and that's not
Is that a deal
someone-
breaker? Is that a deal breaker?
Well, if I like to travel,
I don't
yeah.
know.
If I like to travel with a
It
penis.
depends on who he is. I don't know
Yeah.
if it's a deal breaker.
Okay.
I
Yeah,
don't.
I'm sure.
I mean, I've never. I guess I've traveled with men and we don't fall out. So that's not. I
Have
don't.
you?
I think
Everybody
that
know how to do
sometimes
it
I think what
themselves.
you'll find is certain people. This could be somebody you're in a relationship with or just your friends. You're better
So
off
yes, it
friends
is a
in
deal
the States,
breaker.
and then you travel somewhere and you know what I'm saying, you find out like that
Yes.
person can't really operate outside of their
Yes.
normal
So
environment.
yes, I
Right.
don't. You know what? Yes, if we fall out or we don't get along during the vacation, usually I kind of cut people off.
Because you want to know why? Because that's when you are having the least amount of stress. When you're traveling, you're
I
away
agree.
if you have kids, if you're away from your job, you may be away from your friends and family that may be stressing you out. This is a time where you can concentrate on solely our relationship, and we've removed all the other stress. We've removed that matrix, and we should be in that relationship, and we should be thriving. Or if we're failing, okay, we may need to reevaluate this relationship. Have you guys ever been on a solo trip and you said to yourself, wow, I have forced myself to make other friends. I have forced myself to get out of my comfort zone. I have forced myself to try different things because for the very nature that I'm alone, I have to go out and make new friends. Have you guys had that experience?
I have.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I've gone on solo trips, but I ain't talking to nobody.
Did you guys enjoy that experience?
We have to be a little bit more, obviously, safer
Absolutely.
than
I understand as women.
women. But I mean, yeah, if you're on a cruise and you're in a room by yourself, if you're on a ski trip and you're by yourself, you're with a group, but you're by yourself, you just automatically start talking to people. That I think everybody on this call is that type of person. We won't be sitting back. People are drawn to us. They talk to us because
have you guys ever met a man on that trip?
Yeah,
I've met, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so does that make you guys passport sisters?
No, because it was one day of hanging out and I was done.
Okay. I mean, but it could lead. I mean, you guys could have a common bond, and just for the very fact that you let down your guard, you could be in another state. You can meet another person in, let's say, South Africa. That can be African American. You guys have that common bond. We're not at each other's throats when we're abroad as we are in the United States. I find when we meet other African Americans, we're just so happy to see other African Americans wherever we're at. We just want to be friends. Everything that we would fight about in the United States, we're going to put aside and just be happy and love the blackness on each other. So when you see that, there's so much power.
Anthea, why are you over stewing though? I'm hollering. Go ahead.
Speak your mind. Yeah, speak your mind. There's so much power in our skin tone. When we see each other, we just instantly gravitate towards each other, and we just want to hang out with each other. And whether you're Black, African American, you're Colombian American, you're African from an island or Africa, we know that we're going to have some type of common bond, whether that's oppression, poor, struggling, or whatever we're doing to strive. We know we're going to have that bond, so we're automatically going to gravitate towards each other.
Anthea, go ahead.
Well, I've only been, I was trying to remember through when you were talking about ever being on a solo trip. I think I just went one time to Vegas by myself, and that was a nightmare. But I do travel back and forth to Antigua all the time by myself. I kind of don't consider Antigua a vacation, but kind of like my second home. So it's kind of like a weird thing for me. You kind of feel stressed. I feel stress-free there, but I also have other stresses that I deal with. So
how would you feel if I was if I was dating you and you wanted to go to Antigua by yourself, and I was so insecure, I said, baby, you can't go to Antigua because I'm insecure in our relationship.
Antoine, you constantly in trouble because you ain't sinning and you just doing everything.
Right. And then
you breaking all the rules
today. You don't even know what
I can see your right arm.
Please, Jack Black Jesus fix Antoine.
Antoine cannot fix the camera.
You want to see
it on the second bottle.
The other way. Yeah. Right there. Don't move.
I am not moving. I'm right here.
Right there.
Now that the show is almost over.
Now that the show is almost over. Thank you,
Antoine, this has been you the whole show. This was you the whole show, Antoine.
I wanted to go back and answer something that was asked earlier about how was it when we were together, because I dated the guy from Afghanistan. And well, he was a Black man in Afghanistan, but when he came over, everything was good. We wanted to cherish that month. that he was there. And then the one time he came over, he actually ended up having some health issues, and they wouldn't let him back in Afghanistan. So he ended up staying with me for 6 months, and doing doctors.
Did that break out up?
That wasn't what broke us up. No, that wasn't what broke us up.
No, he was sick before he came.
No. He ended up having like a heart murmur or something.
Oh,
and
that don't develop overnight.
Right. No. When you are an independent contractor, and because you're going into one of those countries, they do like all these different testing. He had to do a whole bunch of tests before you can even be considered for a contractor. And I think
your
that's
liability.
I think that's when they found out that he had the heart murmur, so he had to stay over and do some stuff. But anyway, and we enjoyed the time, whenever he was there for the 1 month, because there's no need. Why are we fighting? Why are we arguing about things? We don't see each other that often, so we're just, we worked it out, and we're still friends now.
Could he be considered almost a passport, bro?
He could not, because he was over there working.
No, like in verse. He comes to the States to be with you for a couple months, and then he goes back to Afghanistan.
It could be, I guess.
I mean, but he was over there working. And so that really what
you worked in the United States reverse.
So here's the deal. Here's what made us break up, because he was supposed to stop working. He had been over there for 8 years as an independent contractor, and he had said that he, was trying to come back, and he wanted to come back. And then he was like, well, I'm thinking I might do another year, because they offered him, so much more of a bonus. And I was like, no. So I'm trying to make sure I say this correctly. He was chasing money, and you wanted more time with him. And so you said no. I said no, right? Because originally when we first started dating, he had said, give him a year and a half. And he'd have his money straight, and whatever. And for the people who are watching, these are folks that are making over 6 figures, and it's all tax free. They're not paying for anything. Like the housing, everything is paid for. He didn't have any type of bills. So
did he spoil you? Did he spoil you when you came to the States? Did he spoil you when you came back to the States?
Oh yeah, we had a great time. Yeah,
so but he's a passport, bro.
No, he wasn't really, because I wanted him to take care of some things, because again, you're stacking your money. You're supposed to be stacking your money. But when he decided that he was going to stay another year, that's when I was like, well, I'm out.
Okay. It sounds like he did you a favor, because outside of passport or whatever you want to call it, he had some heart issues. So you could have probably been like a nurse.
He would have been like the video Brandon sent.
And Thea, you are wrong as hell. Like
the hospice, you would have been the hospice wife.
He's doing fine.
You're wrong as hell, and Thea. Like that
we as black people have all kind of ailments that go on with us: high blood pressure, diabetes, tension. Hell, at this age, it's almost a factor. How many pills are you taking a damn day? That's what you really want to know. You got life insurance and just
drinking water.
Yeah, Tamara, I'm gonna say, I think you were wrong, Tamara. I think that that man told you a year and a half because he felt like you would fall in love with him in a year and a half, even though he knew he planned on doing that for longer to get his money correct. I think you had an expectation of him as to not just the timing, what he was doing with his money, what that getting your money correct looked like. And I think that more so than him going over there was your issue, is that he did not seem to be sticking to what he was going to do as far as handling his business with his finances. And it bothered you, and you didn't see a future in that.
Oh my God. You hit the nail on. When he told me he spent $900 on cigars, I was like, for a month. I was like, what? Who does that?
Right. That bothers you.
$1,000 on cigar monthly, not.
But that's his passion.
But that's his stress reliever, boo.
Tamara.
That ain't pimping if you got it. But the issue is if she felt like it was causing an issue, problem with him handling other things he needed to handle.
Right. And you told me that you weren't a smoker, but really you are a smoker.
Yeah.
An occasional cigar is totally different from smoking in one every night. You're a smoker. I don't care what anybody says. You're a smoker.
Tamara, I would say that every man has some type of bad habits, and I would say every woman has a bad habit as well. I mean, think about it. If I judge you, I don't know you as well, but what if you have a $900 shopping habit? But I want to ask you a question. So what if your son was dating a woman and they got very serious? If you had a son, maybe you had a brother, and he said, you know what, I'm not ready to settle down. I would rather go ahead and pursue this money and strike while the iron is hot. I know that this relationship, it may be here, it may not be, but I know that this opportunity may not always be there. So let me go ahead and go with the guaranteed thing of going with this money as opposed to going with this relationship. How would you feel if that was your brother or your son that was in that position and that chose the money over that relationship?
I would not be happy with that because I also feel like people should be able to compartmentalize and do both. I don't think it's either or type kind of thing. And it's what you put your energy into. It's what you want to do.
So Geeson 83 said he had no money or a home. LOL.
Geeson.
He came back to live with you.
Because he had no place to live because he spent all his money on them cigars.
Listen, he grabbed his chest. He was like, I can't go back 6 months.
He actually did go back and he did 2 more years.
We're just messing with you, Tampa. That's all.
Yeah. No, but
you're a good woman to take care of a man for 6 months, and that ain't your husband.
No.
That ain't, whatever commitment to do that. That's a good woman. And that's what I love about Black women and why I would never date anybody but a Black woman. Just that connection. Yeah.
We as African American men and African American women, we understand the struggle and we understand how hard it is to be successful in this country, where that is one of the most positive things that we can have in terms of dating in our own race. People don't understand that. If I went to another country and I told them Black Lives Matter, they would not understand what the hell I was talking about. But if I said that to a black sister, they would understand and we would have commonality between us.
But sometimes you feel like, let me say this, I'm not going to say all, but I feel like sometimes what I'm feeling sometimes with us is sometimes we feel like Black love doesn't matter.
Don't perpetuate that narrative.
I'm not perpetuating it, but sometimes I feel like it's the vibe that we are constantly.
We don't respect it enough. We don't.
So that's why when we say Black love, I feel like Black love is on a struggle bus every day because I feel like it's always something.
But that's what everybody is talking about on the internet and everywhere else. So it's so embedded in our brains, just like, we were niggas forever. Like it's so embedded in our brain that we start to believe it. It's not true.
I don't believe it's true,
if we want love and we want relationship, I don't think we'd have any problem finding it. It is the expectations and stipulations that we go. Just like I just said to Tamara, if she was okay with that man spending $900 on cigars a month, they'd be together right now. He'd be smoking a cigar in her backyard while she's sitting on here with us.
Yeah.
And that's true. So it ain't that. It's these stipulations that we have. And we say, I'm not dealing with this. I'm not dealing with that. I'm not putting up with that. I don't want a woman that does that. I don't want no man that does this. So it's not about the Black love. Black love is there and it exists. And people find it, but they don't put all these stipulations on it. Quit saying all this stuff you will and won't take from a man, but then you'll go sleep with a married man. I'm confused.
Is it really preach, brother, preach. I have seen more people in more toxic relationships. And when I use the word toxic, I mean from the way that they talk to each other, the way that they speak to each other. If you're in a relationship with me, you speak to me in loving tones. We can argue and we can have a discussion without you calling me out my name and yelling and screaming and throwing stuff. And I just don't even understand that.
Yeah, because my goal ain't to ever tear you down and make you feel less than, even if I disagree with you. I can disagree with you and I don't have to destroy you.
So does passport bros, is that almost a referendum on us as black men?
You are really triggered, Antoine.
It's so triggered.
You are triggered.
I'm triggered. Really.
It's giving triggered though.
No, the bigger picture I'm trying to make is I think there's a divide between us as black people and when it comes to relationships, and is passport bros, is whatever other things that we can think of to divide ourselves, are we utilizing that? The white man is tearing us down, but really the people that are the most efficient at tearing us down is us.
I agree.
So we do a great job of tearing each other down, right?
And separating.
The white man ain't even waking up thinking about us half the damn time. We tearing each other down on Instagram through the shade room.
We do. But I'm saying just in general, like you just told me, you haven't dated a Black American woman in 3 years.
No, I will always date a sister.
I'm saying.
No, he said in a relationship.
You haven't been in a relationship with a Black American woman in 3 years.
But there's definitely a Black woman out there in Atlanta who wants to be in a relationship.
Girl, there's millions.
Absolutely. And if I found that Black woman that I want to be in a relationship with, guess what? I'm going to be in a relationship with her. When we have that,
that's why I said it's a choice. It's a choice. It's not like a narrative that something is wrong.
I'm not pushing away any. If anything, I love being around Black women for a very fact that I can learn and be educated. Just like I would love to be around another woman that I was with in Colombia or South America or Ghana. I can sit up there and learn things and bounce ideals off this person, and I like that challenge. One, it's a cultural challenge. I'm always trying to learn. Mm-hmm. So absolutely, if there's a woman in America that I can be with, I would find her and snap her up in a heartbeat.
You and Brandon, you're definitely doing the traveling, you're doing the dating of other women there. If you're talking about the type of travels that you all are doing, Antoine, you said you have done 50 countries and yada, yada, yada. At least I know these three women on this call. We are bound by a job every day. We got to go to somebody's office and work.
We are too. Now you talk about that travel over a period of time. Like I've been to numerous countries too, but that's a period over time. And right now, like I said, it's a choice. I'm choosing to be on a sabbatical from relationships. That's my choice. I still have a great relationship with my ex-wife, so we're able to, have that partnership there. Yes.
Brandon.
Okay.
Here we go, Natalie.
Come on with it. Come on.
We ain't gonna go there.
Here we go, Natalie. Here we go. Tamara, don't believe the hype. Don't believe the hype, Tamara. We just met. Don't believe the hype.
Exactly. Who would?
Thea and Natalie will bring the hype. They both will bring the hype.
Ain't no bringing it up. So look, but your sabbatical is just
who is it that you could be dating or taking with you on these trips? Because you asked me, Antoine, about would I be able to go, or would I go, and would I cook dinner for you 3 times a day and all this kind of stuff. I would have to not have a career. I'd have to not.
You know what I'm saying?
It sounds like he needs to do intermittent fasting. You can't be eating 3 times a day like.
Tamara, let me ask you this.
In Ramadan.
Okay.
Tamara, let me ask you this. Tamara, let me ask you this. If I told you that I'm educated, I've graduated from college, I'm constantly reading books, I'm constantly looking at YouTube, I'm constantly going to the gym, and I'm traveling, trying to improve myself, and I am traveling to more than just those trigger countries. Mm-hmm. How would that make you feel? And if I tell you that I've dreamed about traveling ever since I was 12 years old, I never envisioned myself being married or having kids, but I've always envisioned myself as wanting to travel. And I've traveled, and it's definitely been the most rewarding and fulfilling experience in my life. How would that make you feel? Would that be a turn on to you, or would that be a turn off? Would that be a red flag or a green flag for you?
Okay, it would actually be, I guess, between those would be a blue flag maybe, because on the one hand, love that answer, love everything that you're doing. I think that is great. And then on the second half of that, I would be like, but he doesn't want to be in a relationship. Not with a girl that lives in Miami. He doesn't, because he's traveling someplace different every month. So he can't want a long-standing, I want to see you. If that's the case, you and I would probably see each other maybe once a month or less, depending on where you're traveling. So I would assume that you're not trying to be in a long-term committed relationship.
Got it.
I love everything about what you said. I love everything about what you said, but you're not trying to have a
job requires that though.
I'm sorry.
I was saying some people's job require them to be on a plane like every month.
That's
so
different.
They could be.
I think that's different, though. I think it's
so,
one thing
so for me,
doing it. All I'm saying, I mean, I think you did that with the guy from Afghanistan, right? Like you did not see him. So I think it's one thing when it's a choice and it's your leisure. Like how are you spending your leisure time? Like if your leisure time is constantly traveling and being away from me, you know, and I rarely see you because you're in this country for 3 months or that country for a month and so on and so forth, then you don't have there's no time for us to even have a relationship because I do have to work or vice versa. Moving for your job is one thing, but I think when we're talking about how you want to spend your time that's yours, that says something to me.
Absolutely.
Well, you have to figure it out in that relationship, right? Like Tamara doesn't have a job that's going to allow her to be as flexible and move like that. Somebody that's working from home, like they have a at-home job and they can work from wherever they're at. They want to go live in a foreign country for a month and work from there, come back to the States, check on their house, check on their friends, their family for 3 months, go back there. That's different. But those of us that have to be at our jobs every day, like I have to be at work every day, I can't travel like that. I get several breaks throughout the year because I'm in education. So I want to go somewhere when I get those breaks. So I can plan that with whoever I'm in relationship with. So it has to work out with who you're in that relationship with. If that one person, that's their lifestyle, that's what they're doing, and you can't do that. But if you got two people, they both work from home, they both could travel abroad together and work like they like doing that, you know, whether it's going to Ghana, whether it's going to, you know, Thailand, Colombia, wherever it is, and they want to go and spend time there, it's cheaper, you know, all of those different things, then that could work for those two people and they could be in relationship and have that work. But to just say, I'm choosing to be apart from you because this is what I like to spend my time doing, I think is what Tamara is saying. That's not going to work. Like you should want to spend time and be around the person as much as possible that you're in relationship with.
I also want to simply add, Antoine, that I think passport bros do not only pertain to Black men.
They don't.
I don't know. I don't know if that would make me feel a little bit better.
It doesn't because we only.
It doesn't because girl, he's still triggered. Look at him.
Every time he hears that word, send him a T-shirt. Send him a T-shirt that says "Passport Bro."
He gets triggered.
So let me ask you a question. So if I travel, let's say I've been traveling since I was 14, and I've always traveled, and I've traveled solo since I was in my late 20s. If I've told you that this is what I do and this is my way of, quote unquote, taking that American stress off, taking that stress off as being a Black man, how would that make you feel if I say, baby, we're good, I love you, we're in a solid relationship, but the walls are closing in on me and I want to go travel for a month? I may not, I'm loyal in this relationship. I don't necessarily need another woman. I just want to get out and maybe go clear my head. How would that make you feel?
I appreciate the honesty. I do. I appreciate the honesty, but I don't know how I would feel about that either, because does that mean Does that mean that you can't handle the pressures of just everyday life here in Miami/Atlanta, where we're together? And are you gonna always want to get away from things? And most people don't travel alone. You know that, right? Most people travel in either two girlfriends or 10 girlfriends that go someplace.
Okay.
It's 2 bros or 5 bros going to a bachelor party. So
or with your partner.
Or with your partner, right? So the fact that you travel alone.
In all my years of traveling, I've never seen a man traveling by himself on a plane. And I travel a lot. I've never seen it. I've never ran into like a single man just somewhere.
Yeah.
Listen. So
you didn't have on the right top.
I've traveled by myself.
I was in first class. I'm sorry. Let me stop.
Whoa.
Think up to you. No. I've traveled by myself.
The pilots were alone.
Hold on. Go ahead, Tom.
I've traveled all over the world by myself. And like I said, I've actually enjoyed the experience because it forced me to meet and develop relationships with other people. Not necessarily a sexual relationship, but just coming out of my shell. And I think I have a very bright and vibrant personality. And I have no problem meeting people, especially women.
And you're getting more and more vibrant as the night goes.
As that Casamigos keeps pouring.
I suggest everybody, this is, what is it saying? Notes of smooth vanilla finish. I love this. But I encourage everybody to travel, whatever way that you seek healing or whatever way that brings you peace and interconnectedness. I encourage that.
So Antoine, are you open to your partner traveling with you constantly, or is it something that you prefer to do by yourself?
I'm open to my partner traveling. I'm open to my partner traveling with me, and I'm open to my partner traveling solo. If I had a woman and she said, you know what, I just want to go find myself and go do yoga in Bali for 2 weeks, I'm all for it because I believe that will strengthen our relationship. I've gone. So once again, you talk about passport, bros. I've gone to Bali and I've done yoga for 2 weeks straight, and I've came back as a different healed person. And my mind was totally different, and I'm ready to deal with a lot of the stress and problems that we have in the United States. So going to
somebody said Dexter does yoga too.
Awesome, Dexter.
So you sending her to Dexter. Dexter may be stretching her out in different ways.
Oh Lord.
Let me make one point clear. I'm definitely into the ladies.
Oh no, he was just
I'm not talking. No, I get that. They're not talking. They're talking about you sending your woman by herself.
Woman to Valley, yeah.
Dexter.
If somebody wants to cheat on me, they're going to do it in Atlanta or they're going to do it internationally or domestically. You can't stop what somebody's going to do.
Thank you.
You can't, but I'm not going to send you into the fire either.
But you can't stop what somebody's going to do. So
we got a couple more minutes for a little bit.
Yeah, I want to say this. I think it's. I mean, you have to be real, Antoine. You're definitely an anomaly. Like that's.
No, I don't think so.
That's not necessarily the norm.
We're telling you, you are.
You are.
Yeah, you're an anomaly. Some people do travel by themselves, male and female. You see the stories, you see them posting it. They say they go here, they go there. So that definitely does happen, but I will say that it's not the norm. Majority of people travel with someone or for a situation. They might be on a flight by themselves, but they're going to meet someone when they get there. Anthea, so you have done a lot of travel. So I don't know why you say you haven't seen nobody on the plane by themselves. Like I can be on the plane by myself, but I might meet somebody with that. But I've traveled alone and I've traveled with people. I prefer to travel with someone. In the times that I did travel alone, it could be rewarding in its own sense that I got to make my own schedule, get up when I wanted to, didn't have to question. But it is good when you have somebody there to kind of help plan things and work things out. So I like traveling with someone, better. But if I really want to go somewhere, I'll go by myself. And sometimes I may choose to go to a specific place by myself for that reason. Like I just want to clear my head and that type of thing. Yeah, like just take a minute to myself. But I live alone, so I get a lot of moments to myself. It's just different because it's loud and crazy in Brooklyn. So it doesn't always feel like alone when you live with
calm your mind.
Yeah, with so many people. So I can see both points. I can see that point. But in a relationship, it does be, in all honesty, in a relationship, if someone says they want to go travel somewhere alone, it is going to seem odd or strange. And it's going to bother me. Even though I've done it before myself, if she tells me that, I'm not going to stop her because, that's what she wants to do. But I'm going to tell her, seem a little strange, but you do what you need to do.
And it almost like you don't want to
go. we got one more question. We got one more thing, and then go ahead, Antoine, and I'm going to ask the final question.
So here's the thing with traveling. It's almost like if I'm traveling, to me is educational. I am going out and I'm seeking a different cultural experience. So if you want to put that in a different light, if a woman told me that if I asked her, do I want to go and get my graduate degree? And she told me no, because that would take away time for us in terms of me furthering my education, I would feel a certain kind of way about that. And just the same way I would feel about going to get my graduate degree is the same way that I would feel about traveling. If I know that this is going to enhance me and add on to my progression in terms of life, and she's telling me no, I would definitely feel a certain kind of way about that.
And about her. But that's because
about her. Vice versa.
Right. It is your thing. But let that be known whenever you start dating someone from the beginning. Hey, my thing is travel. I do it solo. Nothing's going on, just so that they'll know. Because
absolutely.
I think you should definitely let people know that.
Clear communication is key to a lot of things.
I think communication is key, and I wonder if there's things of like mind. Like if you're an avid traveler and that's important to you decide to get in a relationship. I'm not saying they have to be a traveler, but I think they should be open to it. I think those are certain things that should be in common when we think about it. Final thoughts. Like if you feel like somebody is a passport bro abroad, or they're moving in that direction, or they're thinking about it, especially as they retire, what would be your advice? One thing to tell them. Do you?
Everybody, to each their own. We all have our own goals and things we want to do in life. I'm going to retire and move back to North Carolina and build me a house with a pool. Everybody's life is set up different, so do you.
Okay.
I would say wear protection.
You would say wear protection, Anthea? I hear you.
I would say wear protection. I would say wear protection if you're domestically or internationally. Right?
Amen.
If you're retired, you don't want to be 55 with a kid, a brand new kid. And I would say travel as much as possible. Traveling is a spice of life. No matter where you go, you can always learn something from whatever individuals you choose to interact with, and enjoy that experience. And let no one dictate what you should do and what you should do and what you should not do in life. Enjoy your life. You only get one time. And if COVID did not teach us anything, it teaches us that life is short, and enjoy your life.
Yes.
And I would say find out what it is that you are running from. And
amen, girl.
Running towards.
What you running from?
Tamara, that was good.
I love it. This is great. Thank you, everybody, coming to the after party. Meet the panel. They probably ain't gonna be long because I know they got to go to bed, especially Brandon. But come through, come say hello. Thank you. This was great. Thank you, Antoine. Thank you, Brandon and Miss Tamara G. I know you also have a morning show. Check her out in Miami, you guys. Light FM Miami 101.5, Light FM Miami. She's the morning show. Morning Traffic or Jam, and Sunshine, of course, always bringing it. Thank you guys. Have a good night.
Thank you, Casamigos. Our sponsor for tonight. You need to get a check from them, Natalie.
Okay, we do. We need some Casamigos. We need some sponsorship. Vanilla. I ain't gonna have vanilla.
My God.
All right, y'all. Have a good day.
Good night, everybody.
Passport bros.
Join Stacked After Hours, The Spot, where grown men and women gather to have candid, also honest discussions about the state of life, love, and more. The Spot is a hybrid of in-person and weekly virtual gatherings. Join our Facebook group and answer our daily questions. Subscribe to our YouTube for our weekly live talk shows and join us on Zoom for our talk show after parties for lively conversations with other opinionated, grown, and sexy professionals. Just search, like, follow, and subscribe to Stack After Hours on Facebook groups and YouTube. Also like and follow our brand pages at Be Stacked Wellness on Facebook and IG. So wherever you are, at home or abroad, pull out your laptop, tablet, or smartphone and join in the conversation with the members of Stacked After Hours, The Spot, by Be Stacked Wellness. See you there.
As you know, and if you are new to the Stacked family, we always keep our conversations lit and enlightening.